Hey, this is Bill Janovitz from the band Buffalo Tom, and you're watching Punk Rock Aerobics with Hilkin Mancini.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my Punk Rock Aerobics at Home series. If you remember, I was doing these during the thick of the pandemic, and I was interviewing rock star artists all about their lives during the pandemic and if they were working out or exercising. And now I'm back at it with this episode with Bill Janovitz of one of my favorite bands, Buffalo Tom. You must have heard of them from the 90s. Anyways, this is a release of their song. It was from their first record and their first single, and it's called Sunflower Suit, and it's one of my faves. All right, so I'm going to be showing you some moves to work out to that song, but before we do that, you know what time it is. It's time to phone a punk. We're going to talk to Bill Janovitz himself. Hey, Bill, I'm so pumped to have you on the show. It's such an honor to be able to interview you. I just wanted to ask you now about the song that we're going to use today. So can you tell me a little bit about the killer song, Sunflower Suit?
Sunflower Suit was written when we were still up at college. It was one of the first songs. It was our first single, but it was one of the first songs that I think we wrote as a band. And we were definitely really into Dinosaur Jr. at that time. They were like our buddies up at school. Sort of buddies. Like they were around up at school up at UMass Amherst, and so it's got that. And I think he probably produced that track. He kind of came in somewhere in the middle of that record. We were doing it in spurts at Fort Apache.
The J-Man.
Yeah, it's filled with like, let's put on more guitar. Let's put on 5 guitar tracks, like 2 wah-wah pedals, and whatever we could do. But the lyric came from we were talking about. I think we were watching the Hitchcock movie The Birds up at our house in Northampton, and somebody said, "I wonder how they get the birds to come and attack the people and stay." And then we said, "Oh, maybe it's a sunflower seed suit." Somebody said sunflower seed suit. I thought it was a great image and apparently a great enough image to make a song about.
Okay. So now I want to ask you if you have, what is your daily exercise regime, if you have one?
I don't know if I have a daily one. I do try to do something every day, and it depends on the season. So my big thing, the thing that I really enjoy doing is cycling, biking. And it used to be just biking around town, with a sort of upright handlebars bike. I mean, I feel like I've always had one. In fact, when Buffalo Tom was doing pretty well and we had a tour bus, those guys would bring out golf clubs and I would bring out a bike, which was great because it could really, you weren't beholden to anybody or to the bus. You could just get around on your own, so you could really kind of explore more of a town that way. And it was a way of getting exercise, but I wasn't really so concerned with getting exercise back then. It was like, you could eat and drink anything you wanted in your 20s and early 30s to some extent. And we were burning it off every night anyway.
Yeah, totally. Being young and playing the rock and roll burns those calories. Okay, so I want to ask you, do you follow any sort of nutritional guidelines or any sort of dietary restrictions or anything like that?
Yeah, so we used to, like I said, I used to be able to eat anything, and especially if I exercised, like even into my 40s, I felt like anyway, but looking in hindsight, like, oh, I was probably a good 10 pounds too heavy, and it's just vanity stuff. It wasn't like health stuff, I was still keeping in shape, but I was also like, sure, give me the large steak and cheese sub with fries, I'll drink as much beer as I want. And then it starts to really kind of, the cliches, it catches up with you. And so Laura and I, my wife and I, Laura, we've, over the last year or two, we've gotten onto like salads for lunch. Laura is really nice and makes me a nice salad every day. And we've cut pasta down to a few times a week at most and that kind of stuff. So, but it's really difficult to do if you don't have somebody like her, who's really into cooking and does it really well.
Shout out to Laura St. Clair. Okay, so I want to ask you, do you feel like being in shape has affected your live performance at all?
Live performance, I don't feel like it did. I don't think one way or the other. I feel like I've always been in moderately decent shape, so I never felt like huffing and puffing. I think I feel really lucky that way. Have never had any kind of injuries or knees going out or anything. And we're still really physical on stage.
Still rocking out. Cool. All right, so now I'm going to ask you the question I ask all of our guests. What's your take on Henry Rollins?
Actually, it's funny. I know I watched the one that you sent me, and I hadn't prepared myself for this question, but it's a perfect answer because, well, he was like one of the first guys to be super conscious about fitness and stuff in the sort of punk rock scene, of course. So it's not that much of a coincidence, but we did one of our first tours, actually, one of our first tours over in Europe, if not our first tour, was through Germany. The German part of it was with Rollins, and he was, nobody's going to be surprised, but he was super intense. And I don't think he liked the band very much. I think we were sort of SST Records guys, but we were more like, I don't know. I think he was a Dinosaur fan, and a lot of original Dinosaur Jr. fans were like, they looked at us with a jaundiced eye. I think some of them. Some of the old school SST guys, but there was no animosity or anything, but there was just a certain intensity, and he was really serious. There was no fooling around, and he would show up at clubs. Now, again, this is our first tour. It's probably our first tour in Europe, and we're just having a good time. And we're in Germany. We're drinking everything that we can find, which was pretty easy with German beer and just eating horribly and sleeping horribly because you're sleeping either in really cheap places or free places.
Yeah.
So you're just you're getting depressed and high and depressed and up and down, and so we would come in, we'd be all either haggard and goofed out or whatever it was, but there would be Henry in like spandex shorts, doing yoga at the club before sound check, or lifting or push-ups, and we just thought it was funny. I think, I mean, I just thought, it was like, oh, is this rock and roll? I don't know. It's sort of like, you'd hear about Mick Jagger back in their 30s, like him having fitness routines, and you kind of discount it as like it's a joke, but then you realize, oh man, that's why they can do what they do, and haha, the joke is on us. And I remember we were in the dressing room once, and he was I think he was out in the club doing yoga at the Markthalle in Hamburg, and he comes into our dressing room for like one of the first times, or maybe it was a shared dressing room, and he hadn't said much to us at that point. And he's looking around, and we're all just kind of scared, and we're just holding our beers or whatever. And he goes, look at that. He looks at me and goes, "You see my backpack?" And that's it. That's the whole story.
That's a great story. All right, cool. Well, thanks so much, Bill Janovitz, for being on the Punk Rock Aerobics at Home series. You totally rock. And now we're going to work out to Sunflower Suit by Buffalo Tom. So now we're going to work out to Sunflower Suit by Buffalo Tom. Just like a punk rock song with 3 chords, there's 3 moves. And I'll show you those 3 moves now. Move 1, plunger, reaching up to the sky. Opposite knee, opposite elbow. Bring those knees up to the chest. Second move, trans squatter, crossing in front, bringing the knee up to the elbow. Same way, but you're moving back and forth. Arms together, opposite knee, opposite leg. Arms together, opposite knee, opposite leg. This is your trans squatter. Third move, the super lunge. You're in a lunging position side to side, swinging the arms, and this is a high cardio move. Make sure your abs are tight and that you're holding it together as you move side to side with your punch. All right, now it's time to rock it out. Turn it up, punks. Trans squatter. Keep that knee up to that elbow. Up. Plunger. Knee to elbow. Up and down. Plunger. Trans squatter again. Super lunge. plunger. Plunge it up and down. Super lunge. Okay, we're gonna add in a knee here. Knee and back. Super lunge. Super lunge. Feels good. Back to trans squatter. Get that knee up to the elbow. Woo! Rock that solo. Okay, back to plunger. Up and down. Trans squatter. Knee to elbow. Okay, now plunge it. Up, down. Plunge it. Okay, here comes your super lunge. Plunge it. Up and down. Okay, get ready. Super lunge. Okay, trans squatter. Bring that knee up to the elbow. Get ready for, you know what? Super lunge. Swing it out. Lunge it side to side. This goes on for a while. So hang in there. And we're going to break it up with the crunches. 4, 3, 2, 1. Give me that crunch. Give me that crunch. Super lunge. Punch it. You're almost there. Woo! Skank it out. Skank it out. Woo! Awesome job. I love that song. Check it out. Buffalo Tom, Sunflower Suit. It's a great song to work out to. Thanks again to Billy J for doing that interview with me during the pandemic. Punk Rock Aerobics at Home series. Don't forget about my class Tuesday night. I'll see you there, punks. Rock out with me. Woo! Dying.